I would like to introduce you to Chris Uphues. Chris Uphues is a contemporary artist. That means that he is still alive and creating works of art today. Chris Uphues is a street artist, and you can find his artwork on the sides of buildings, in windows, and on walls. Chris Uphues uses a lot of hearts in his artwork. But not only does he just draw hearts and paint hearts, he also includes lots of silly, funny faces on his hearts. These silly faces give his hearts lots of character and personality. Today, we will start a project that is inspired by Chris Uphues and his silly, happy, funny face hearts. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's get started on our Chris Uphues inspired art projects today. We're going to start by drawing the hearts, and there are two different ways that you can do your hearts. If you don't know how to do hearts, then these are some examples of how you can try. So what I like to do is start out with, I'm going to start here in the middle with a nice big heart. And you can either start with a V, a wide V, and then add the two bumps on top. That's one way to do it. The other way would be to start with the bumps first and then add the V later. So I'm going to do that one up here. Two bumps, and then I'm going to connect with the V. So those are two different ways that you can draw your hearts. Now remember to make your hearts nice and big so that later we can add silly, funny faces to them to match Chris Uphues' silly, funny faces on his hearts. Now, I started out with a Sharpie, but if you would like to use a pencil first, that's fine. I'm only using a Sharpie right now so that you can see what I'm doing on the camera. The next step is to add some funny, silly faces. So I have created this sheet for you that could give you some ideas about different eyes and mouths that you could put on your hearts. If you don't see one on here that you would like to draw, you certainly can do that. That is always allowed. So I have 3 hearts done, nice and big, and now I'm going to pick some eyes and mouths and combine them to make a funny face. So I think I'm going to start with these eyes. And now I'm going to pick a mouth. Let's see. I think I'm going to do this one with the little teeth sticking out. Super cute. All right, so now I'm just going to continue adding funny faces to the other 2 hearts that I have, and I will be back in a minute. All right, I've added my silly, funny faces to 3 of my hearts. So what I'm going to do now is start adding little hearts in between the empty spaces around my big hearts. And we can follow the same steps that we learned before to draw our little hearts. So you can either do the bumps first and then the V, or the V first and then the bumps. That's up to you. Now I'm not going to add silly faces to these little hearts. You can if you want to, but my hearts are really small, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to fit silly faces in there. But the next step after you draw your 3 little hearts is to connect with lines. So what we're going to do is add a line that connects all of our hearts. All right, after you add your lines connecting your hearts, now we want to add lines going to the corners. to fill in more of that empty space. Looks really great. When you're finished drawing, if you drew with a pencil first, you're going to need to trace with a Sharpie next. I already used a Sharpie, so I'm just going to stop and put this away for right now, and we will continue working on this again next class.